Good evening, everyone. My name is Benoit. My business partner Mathieu and I run AFS in the Americas, and with the launch of a lot of new products coming over the next couple of months, we wanted to take the time to say a little bit more about AFS and explain the brand a little bit more. There's obviously a lot of French language content out there with it being a French brand, French based, French manufactured. And we felt like maybe there just wasn't enough English language direct content out there. So wanted to put a quick little introductory video about the brand together and help everyone understand what AFS is and what's different. I think the first big starting point is AFS is a manufacturer. There are very few foil companies today that are manufacturers. Most of them are boutiques. There's one major one. Won't name any names here today, but that is a unique trait, and it's not just a positive. To be frank, there's pros and cons to being a manufacturer. It's manufacturing is tough. I understand why a lot of brands just go to an experienced factory and have them build their foils for them. But at AFS, it's first and foremost, it's a it's a passion, and you can tell that passion the moment you step through the factory doors. The whole team loves manufacturing maybe as much as foiling. If you talk to Tanguy, one of the founders slash owners of AFS, he speaks about his machines as passionately as he does about his session that he just did in 40 knot winds and barely above freezing temperatures last week when the storm came through. But yeah, so passion is kind of the common interest there between the machinery and the foiling. And with being a factory, there comes changes and there comes differences. One of the big ones is over the years. These were kind of the original UHM mast finishes where it was exposed UHM pitch that just looks very different from your traditional carbon weave that you might be used to seeing from other carbon brands. And so over time, to kind of align with the industry, we changed the top weave to be this more traditional carbon weave, and so folks just saw that difference. There wasn't like an announcement, right? It's just something that the factory did. But that is also one of the advantages of being a manufacturer is when a decision is made, it can be made rather quickly. But taking a step back, AFS was likely one of the first to sell a foil. I don't know that there's a written history or factual history, but the AFS one was sold back in 2009. It was a full wind foil board and carbon foil setup, and the original intent was to have fun in sub 15 knots. Back then, windsurfing, you had the formula boards and the big sails, but it was pretty big and clunky to get planing sub 15 knots. And so Bruno and some of the others back then wanted to figure out a way to go have fun windsurfing in sub 15 knots. And so that led to the development of the AFS1 back in 2009. And since then, obviously, things have evolved all the way to being if not the first, one of the first UHM mast manufacturers back in late 2022, which is pretty recent. But that's how quickly things are evolving now. Today, you look across the spectrum, most brands have a UHM mast offering in their lineup, and so that ties back to the factory. And so the factory's in France. All of the foils, all of the masts, basically all of the foil related parts are made in France. A good portion of the boards are made in France too. All of the advanced boards, so the Fire Pro, the Blackbird Pro, are made in France, as well as the Dockstar And then the other boards are made at a factory in Tunisia that we've worked with for a long time, and that has made boards for a long time. They made windsurf boards for HD. Very experienced factory that does a great job. And but you know, having that foil manufacturing and even the board manufacturing capacity at the factory in Brittany in France, where you know everyone's riding, where there's great riding conditions all year, allows for rapid product development. You know, if we get a prototype we like, we can basically put it into production within 48 hours. So there's not a big lag, you know, from images leaking of say a pre-production model and an actual production model. Um, but you know, like I said, there's you know, I would say one of the other drawbacks to manufacturing in France compared to some of you know, the other factories is, you know, the finishing, the cost of finishing. It Finishing is a very laborious process, and requires a lot of man hours. And so, as you can see here, for example, there's these little white dots that are a total non-issue from a performance standpoint. That, you know, if we spent a few more hours on this, like, we could definitely buff out and make to be a perfect finish. But given the cost of man hours in Europe, it's not realistic. Like, we would have to price these way too high. And you know, I'll say that's another huge thing with AFS is they're super conscious about trying to keep pricing as affordable as possible. So, you know, next to me here I have UHM mast, but the HR mast, which is the, you know, entry level price point, I wouldn't say performance, because if you compare it to a lot of other masts, you know, it's 16 millimeter stick, it's carbon, it's priced, you know, very competitively to others, and yet has dimensions that are also still very competitive, and that allows a good entry point into foiling for folks. You know, the Flyer full set is a fantastic bargain, and that's all forward compatible, right? Like, a little sneak peek, we've got some new fuselages coming out, and they're going to be, one of them is going to be super expensive, one of them is going to be super affordable, but it's all cross compatible. There's no foil specific to that very expensive fuselage. There's no, it'll work with the Flyer just like it'll work with some new downwind foils that are about to come out. So it's all just a question of you know, what your budget allows, and what you know, where you want to dial up the indicators. You know, if you go back to back from the HR mast to the UHM, yeah, the UHM's a little thinner, the cord's a little shorter, so it's going to be a little faster through the water, it's going to glide a little better. There are going to be performance differences, but the HR mast is not going to prevent you from enjoying your enduro, for example. So we're always working to, you know, allow folks to enjoy their foiling passion affordably, and part of it is having not perfect finishes on some of these items, as you'll see, but the functional performance is there, the long-term quality performance is there. I think it's a pretty industry leading and possibly unique that AFS Foils has a 3-year warranty on the foils and the UHM masts. I think that's a pretty unique proposition, and shows the level at which behind the brand is willing to stand behind the products, and, you know, ensure that you know, the client's money is well spent, and that we care about it as much as you do. And if anyone has any questions, you know, feel free to drop a comment, send us an email, and, you know, contact us at AFS on their website. There's always folks that are willing and able to respond. Contact your local dealer, and if they can't get you the answer, either they can put us in touch directly, or, you know, be a relay and help get some questions answered. But yeah, just wanted to take the time to, you know, give a quick little about AFS spiel. Thanks, y'all.